Your memories are glitches from an alternate reality. We all know the famous line from The Empire Strikes Back, right? Luke, I am your father. It's iconic. Except, if you watch the scene back, you'll find Darth Vader never actually says that. The real line is, no, I am your father. It's annoying, isn't it? That one little word changes the feel of the whole thing. But what if it's not your memory that's messed up? What if you're just remembering a world that doesn't exist anymore? What if you woke up this morning in a reality that is almost, but not quite, the one you went to sleep in? A world where tiny details are just off, like a photo that's been subtly retouched. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but for a growing number of people, this weird, unsettling feeling is very real. They call these discrepancies the Mandela effect, a phenomenon where huge groups of people share the exact same false memory about our history or culture. Now, psychologists have pretty logical explanations for this. They talk about things like confabulation, which is our brain's tendency to fill in memory gaps with stuff that makes sense, even if it's wrong. They also point to social reinforcement, where a mistake gets repeated so often that it starts to feel like the truth. These theories are sensible, and they are almost certainly part of the story. But they might not be the whole story. What if these aren't just memory flubs? What if they're echoes of a reality you left behind? Today, we're exploring one of the most mind-bending theories on the internet. The idea that your consciousness has jumped timelines and your memories are the glitches left over from another reality. Section 1. The glitches we all share. Before we get into the how, let's look at the what. The evidence, if you can call it that, is woven right into the fabric of our shared culture. These are the glitches that send people flocking to online forums all asking the same thing. You remember it that way too, right? Let's start with a classic, the Fruit of the Loom logo. Picture it in your mind. There's an apple, some grapes, green leaves, and what else? For millions, that image is totally incomplete without a cornucopia. That horn-shaped wicker basket spilling all the fruit out. It just feels right, doesn't it? But if you look at any official logo, from today or 100 years ago, it isn't there. There has never been a cornucopia. The company itself has confirmed it. And yet, the memory is so strong that many people first learned what a cornucopia even was from seeing it on their underwear tag. Then there's the mascot for Monopoly, Rich Uncle Pennybags. Think about him. Top hat, cane, mustache, and a monocle, right? That little eyeglass that perfectly completes his look as a wealthy tycoon. But again, reality says nope. The Monopoly man has never worn a monocle. That false image is so common that it's even been parodied in movies, referencing a monocle that was never actually there. Psychologists might say this is our brain adding details that fit our stereotype of an old-timey rich guy. But is that all it is? The list just keeps going. Millions remember the children's book series as the Berenstain Bears, but the covers have always read, Stay In. People will swear on their life they've eaten Jiffy brand peanut butter, but the brand has only ever been Jif. And for so many, Pikachu has a black tip on his tail, but it has always been solid yellow. On its own, any one of these could be written off as a simple mistake, but when you look at them together, the pattern is just uncanny. It's not just that people are wrong, it's that they are all wrong in the exact same way. The memories aren't random, they are incredibly specific. And that specificity is what opens the door to a much more fantastic explanation, one that has less to do with our faulty memories and more to do with the fundamental nature of reality itself. Section 2. The jump, tuning into a new reality. So, let's entertain the big question. What if you aren't living in the same timeline you were born into? What if your memories aren't broken, but are actually perfect records of a world you don't live in anymore? This is the core of the timeline jumping theory. The idea is that reality isn't just one single straight line. Instead, think of the multiverse. Drawing from a speculative branch of quantum mechanics called the many worlds interpretation, there could be an infinite number of parallel universes, all humming along at the same time. Every decision you make, every random quantum flicker, could cause reality to split, creating a whole new world where things went just a little differently. Now, imagine your consciousness is like a radio receiver. All these parallel realities are broadcasting at once, on slightly different frequencies. Most of your life you're tuned into one station, one timeline. But what if something could nudge the dial just a tiny bit? You wouldn't explode or vanish. You would just wake up in a world almost identical to the one you left, with just a few details switched around. The car keys are on the counter instead of the hook. That brand of candy bar has a hyphen you don't remember. That famous movie quote you know by heart is suddenly wrong. These aren't huge, earth-shattering changes. They're subtle. They're glitches. An extreme version of this idea is called quantum immortality. This thought experiment suggests that your consciousness can never actually experience its own end. In any situation that could be fatal, there's always at least one tiny, improbable chance you survive. According to this fringe theory, when you face that fatal event in one timeline, your consciousness doesn't just switch off. It simply jumps to the nearest parallel reality where you made it through. You wouldn't remember dying. You'd just wake up the next day feeling a little off. And you might notice that ever since that really bad flu or that near miss on the highway, the world seems different. The Kit Kat bar you ate as a kid is now spelled without a hyphen. For everyone native to this new timeline, it's always been that way. But for you, it's a constant, nagging reminder that you might not be from around here. And this is where I have to ask you, have you ever experienced this? A moment where a memory you'd bet your life on clashes so hard with reality it makes you question everything? Maybe it's a small detail, a brand name, a logo. Or maybe it's something bigger, a memory of a public event that history says never happened. Pause for a second and really think about it. Then, go down to the comments and let me know. Reading through those threads is an experience, seeing just how many people have felt that same disorienting shift. Section 3. The Echoes. Personal glitches in the Matrix. While the famous Mandela effects are fascinating because so many people share them, the rabbit hole gets way deeper and a lot more personal. What about the glitches that only you seem to notice? The ones you can't prove. The ones that make you feel like you're losing your grip just for a second. In the timeline jumping theory, these personal glitches are just as important as the big ones. They're the smaller echoes, the more intimate signs that you might be a traveler. Ever had déjà vu? That powerful, baffling feeling that you have absolutely lived a specific moment before. Science has explanations, of course. Some neurologists think it's a brief wiring cross in the brain, a momentary misfire that creates a false sense of recollection. But what if it's not a misfire? In a multiverse of infinite timelines, it's practically guaranteed that one of your parallel selves has lived this exact moment. What if déjà vu is just the fleeting echo of your consciousness resonating with the memory of another you? Then there are the more concrete glitches. You find stories all over the internet about them. The person who puts their keys in the bowl by the door, turns around, and finds them on the kitchen table, with no one else home. The driver who is certain they passed a blue car, only to look in the rearview mirror and see a red one. The crystal clear memory of a serious conversation with a friend, a conversation they swear never, ever happened. Psychology would call these simple memory lapses the result of stress, fatigue, or just being on autopilot. And that may well be true. But the sheer number of these glitch in the matrix stories suggest a shared experience that feels deeper than a simple mistake. It feels like reality itself just stuttered for a moment before a reality patch was installed, leaving you as the only witness to the version before. It's the universe's version of a typo, and you just happened to be looking when it was made and then corrected. These personal glitches, these echoes, combined with the collective Mandela effects, paint a pretty staggering picture of a world that might not be as stable as we think. Conclusion. So what are we to make of all this? On one hand, we have solid scientific explanations. Our brains aren't perfect cameras. Our memories are rebuilt every time we access them, making them vulnerable to error and suggestion. False memories are a real, documented part of being human. That is the most rational, evidence-based conclusion. And yet, the other theory sticks around, mostly because, for those who felt it, it just seems to fit better. The idea that these aren't errors, but artifacts. That the bizarre specificity of these shared memories isn't a bug in our minds, but a feature of the multiverse. It's a theory that says you're not crazy and you're not misremembering. You're a traveler in a sea of infinite realities. It suggests that consciousness is far more fundamental, mysterious, and resilient than we can imagine. We don't have the final answer. Maybe we never will. Perhaps these are all just fascinating tricks of the mind. Or they might just be a breadcrumb trail leading to one of the universe's greatest secrets. Either way, it forces us to admit that our grip on reality is more fragile than we'd like to believe. So, the next time you notice a little glitch in your world, a word that's wrong, a logo that's changed, a memory that doesn't fit, don't just brush it off. Pause for a second and ask yourself, what did this world look like before I got here?